Hello everyone, this is Coach Sean, and we have finished reviewing the hitting video from early December, and we're now just putting together your hitting lessons. There's some things that are common amongst a lot of our hitters that the videotape is showing us, and I just wanted to start by reviewing some of these things so that everybody can become familiar with them, what they are, how they affect your swing, what you can do to correct it, practice drills, etc. What I'd like everyone to do after you read these things is stop your video, go online, go to our website, saintsbaseball.club. Once you're at the website, saintsbaseball.club, I would like you to go to the features page, and I'd like you to watch the following videos. The first one I would like you to watch is Fix Your Flat Swing, Master the Snap Drill. I believe this drill is essential in any hitter's swing. If you do not move your hands, turn the triangle, snap the bat rearward, and pull your hands through a swing, you're not going to have your best swing. You're not going to be able to attack the balls on the corners and things of that nature. A flat swing is going to have trouble hitting outside and inside pitches. What we are trying to build with our hitters is a complete hitter, somebody with no holes in their swing that can attack all the balls in the zone and drive the ball from gap to gap at your 18 to 22 degree upward plane, thusly making each hitter the best they can be. So again, if you do not snap your bat correctly, this drill is perfect for slowing it down, duplicating it, mimicking the process, and is something that everybody should be able to do or know about so that they can work on getting there in the future. So again, I'd like you to start by watching those two videos. I think 3 videos associated to that part of the drill. The second thing I'd like you to watch is casting your hands in the swing. It's the second video on the page. Casting your hands is something that most of our hitters are doing. A large number of them anyway are doing. And casting the bat, simply put, will flatten your swing. Okay, it's the incorrect use of your hands in the swing that flattens your plane of your bat, which is going to make you, again, have difficulty hitting inside and outside pitches. It's going to give you holes in your swing, and this is a great video series so that you can understand what it is, how you're doing it, and again, ways to fix it. So that's very important. Thirdly, loose hands drill. It's lower down on the page, and I have a feeling from watching these videos that not everybody's holding their bats correctly. The bat should be held very loosely, and every one of our players should investigate using a grip aid, whether it's pine tar or the tacky waxy substances, something of that nature. But if you look at a major league on deck circle, there's probably 4 or 5 grip aids that the batters are using every at bat before they go to bat in most cases. And on the Saints team, we've got literally 1 or 2 people using pine tar, and not on a regular basis. So again, I would like all the players to understand how to grip a bat, the best way to grip a bat, why they're gripping it that way, and how it contrasts with what they're doing. And I'd like them to try to mimic and copy the folks in these hand drills so that they can, again, feel the difference in the swing with loose hands. So we've got that video. We've got the Justin Turner's loose hands bat grip, which all that does is show his loose grip preload. Again, very important for the kids to get that, let it sink in, and see if they can change their grip to get their hands and wrists looser in the swing. So go ahead and go watch those and then come on back to your lesson. Okay, now that you've done that, let's talk a little bit about what we're trying to achieve here. In general, a hitter that is approaching 15 years old, or by the time he reaches 16, he should be very proficient at covering the zone, meaning having a swing that will produce a line drive anywhere from gap to gap at anywhere from 16 to 22 degree upward trajectory. A player should be able to hit a pitch in that direction that is anywhere in the zone. That is a batting practice or soft toss pitch or off a tee. Okay, yes, it's a different thing when you put a live pitcher in there throwing top speed for your age group, but by age 15, 16 at the latest, you should be very well accomplished with the quick short swing that covers the whole zone, that puts the ball into the right place. So what we're trying to do is build that with each player, and what we're seeing from just a few flaws, not a lot of stuff needs to be cleaned up with a lot of our hitters, but this snap drill and how you initiate the swing and casting the hands are the two biggest things we need to fix so that our kids can get on the trajectory of being able to hit a ball in the strike zone where they need and want to hit it. So our goal is trying to get you all in that direction. So that's what we're working on here. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So the first thing I want to show you here is this hitter performing the snap drill. And let's just roll it so you can see it. Okay, let's play it live. You see how he does it nice and slow, making sure he's keeping everything in its right position with the right sequence. And this drill right here, we're going to call the snap drill. And I believe every one of our hitters on our team needs to practice this a lot on a regular basis. Even after you master it, you need to keep doing it just to make sure it stays regular and an easy feeling for you. And let's take a look at some of the breakdown on this thing here. So what you're trying to achieve is more of a horizontal or downward swing. As you can see at the point of contact, so to speak, the angle of his bat. Okay. That angle right there is what you're trying to achieve on most pitches, not an outside and high pitch, for example, but for a lot of the pitches on the plate, that's the angle you're trying to achieve, okay? So, of course, he did that and achieved that angle by starting with a good triangle with this 90 degrees. He's got a proper hand grip. Okay, look at that really close. And as you move it forward here, he's snapping the bat rearward. Snapping the bat rearward. And one important thing in being able to do that, which is also part of the snap drill teachings, is this right here. The right forearm for a right-hander, left forearm for a left-hander. This degree should always be close to 90 degrees at all times until you get into the power V, or the tail end of your swing. So as you watch that angle through the swing, you can see he's kept it more or less at contact right there. Okay? So the relationship of the forearm to the bat should always be 90 degrees. When you start the swing, the first movement here, there's his go right there. His triangle starts to turn, his bat comes rearward, his forearm and bat are at 90 degrees, and he simply maintains that posture through the swing. And you can see there he really starts to get his left elbow moving forward and around and up, and starts plunging his left shoulder rearward. Okay? So as you watch this here, see how far that left shoulder or left elbow is going to maintain his 90 degrees. Now he's essentially turned his triangle all the way, and it's facing the pitcher. Okay? If you do not, which a lot of our hitters don't, if you do not turn that elbow up and out, that elbow will stop right where it's at. Okay? If your elbow stops in here, which a lot of our players' elbows do, if you're stopping here, the only place for the arms and hands to then go, the forearms and the hands, is out and around that elbow. Okay? So these are then going to come outward. Okay? That would be his arm extended right there, so to speak. If he stops the elbow, this hand has nowhere to go but out and around the elbow. Okay? Which will make you cast your bat, which will give you a flatter swing plane and make it tough to reach inside pitches and outside pitches on a regular basis. So again, this snap drill is something everybody should grab a wiffle ball bat, standing in front of a mirror, practice this methodically, slowly, until you get it and it's comfortable. And once it's comfortable, you should continue to do it on a regular basis. Okay? So let's flip this for our left-handers. Let them take a look. Okay, this drill is real easy to practice as well. What you do is you get in the batter's box with a tee, you get your feet lined up, you take and you measure the distance from the hands to the sweet spot of your bat, and you get in this position, put the bat near the ball, you recreate this whole position right here, and then you simply back it up to your load and you slowly proceed between the 2 points until you can do it quickly and correctly. Okay, so I want everybody to work on that. I want you to do it at home. I want you to do it in the cages, at practice. I really want everybody to concentrate on gaining what it feels like to start your swing like this. Very important. Okay, here's another version of the snap drill. It should also be practiced with one hand. This is the portion of the drill where you're concentrating on a 90-degree or a perpendicular angle, 90 degrees from the bat to your left elbow or right, your forearm or your right forearm if you're right-handed. Let's watch this gentleman demonstrate the drill. So along with the other version of this, everybody should practice this on a regular basis. You should get it to feel as comfortable as possible, and some of the things to remind you of here is you can see how the elbow and everything starts to slot and everything works together simultaneously. The same thing with the two-hand snap drill, okay? So now we've got this flipped for right-handed players to see what it looks like. Okay, so again, the ability to do this and master these drills and get a good feel for handling the bat like these instructors are. Again, bat speed controls how far and hard we hit the ball. So you want to gain as much bat speed as possible, and you can see the whip from laying it down like this is how you're going to gain more bat speed, okay? That's how early bat speed is gained. The second thing it's going to do for you, it's going to get the bat on the right path, which is going to help you hit more balls where you want to hit them. So keep all that in mind as you're practicing this drill. And the third way to practice the snap drill is with a PVC pipe. Okay, and here is the third way to practice the snap drill, and this is with the PVC pipe that was provided to you by Chris, or this could be with a broomstick, something of that nature. And let's just watch this gentleman. You can see how he moves everything simultaneously. Everything's firing at once. The snapping of the hands, the slotting of the right elbow, the upward movement of the left shoulder and elbow to turn the triangle, and bam. Okay, now again, this is exaggerated. You're not going to exactly swing this way every time, but it does show, and by exaggerating, get everything moving in the right direction on the right path. So let's flip it for our left-handers. Okay, so there are the 3 ways to practice the snap drill, and I highly suggest everybody masters these drills. Get them looking just the way these instructors do in the video. Okay? So here we have Justin Turner loaded in here, and I want to take a quick look at the ending of his swing so that we have contrast for later when we get into the individual videos. But you can see he's 3/4 of the way through his swing here, and if we draw a line right here, this line indicates what a lot of our players are doing that are casting their hands. If you cast your hands, what that's going to do, it's going to stop your elbows in this area right here of the swing. It's not going to allow you to get to this position. Okay? So again, take a quick look at that and then parlay that into your swing and see what the differences are. But if you do stop your elbows and cast the bat, that's what's going to give you the rotational, flatter swing. So here is Aaron Judge, and let's look at his full swing. Again, look at the same points. As he's 3/4 of the way through his swing here, before contact. You'll see that he maintains his 90-degree relationship with his elbows and triangle. You'll see here that his elbow is way up by his shoulder. His shoulder is moving rearward. And it appears he's got a ball on a pretty good trajectory, and with his bat speed, I'm assuming that's a home run or close to it, right there. He's got a perpendicular relationship here with the bat and the flight of the ball. He pulled his hands inside nicely, and he got some nice results on this swing. So if we look at the front of the swing here, if you look at the hands, and the elbows, you will see that all that stuff moves simultaneously. You will also see his left elbow simply goes upward, like so. So let's go ahead and get into the individual lessons, and we'll discuss some of this stuff in further depth as we have you on the screen here. Okay, Logan, here is your video lesson, and I just want to start here. The swings that we took in December, we can see on the film there that your bad back is just completely changing things around. It just makes it tough to look at it and dissect it, and most of the issues are from your back. So again, I know you've had a sore back from wrestling, but I'm going to back up and review your September swings when we began all this, just so we have something to analyze and move forward with. So again, I'm not going to put your swings up at the end of here. You're going to see most in the videos we have here. But like a lot of our players, I think you start the bat pretty well. It looks like for the most part you go rearward. My point here, just like it is with all the kids, is that can always be practiced and done better to where you master it and you get it looking just like the pros do. Again, thrusting that bat rearward is highly important. How you use the arms and the hands to do that. That drill's only going to improve that on all of our players. So I want to bring that to your attention to add to your practice routine at home and away from the Diamond Sports cages. You know, that's something you should be doing on your own at a, you know, as much as you can around your other sports and your health. So let's get into that. Let's get you starting to do that slowly and methodically, and then get to where you can speed it up. That's something you should, you know, carry into the season and do year round when you're practicing baseball, just so it's, you know, it's something you don't regress in. It's something that stays sharp. So that is something I really want you to get down. Secondly, you're not necessarily, like in our pre-log here video we talked about, and I asked you to watch the video on casting your hands and casting your bat in the swing. You don't necessarily, I wouldn't call you a caster. So, you know, but I did want you, all the players, to watch that just so they had the knowledge of what that is. What you're doing in your swing, I think, that needs a great bit of attention and you know, for you to study. You know, your dad coaches you, so I know that you got a lot of friends in baseball that have put a lot of input into where you're at. I would just want everybody to study your arm barring. You arm bar and then you pull the arm bar versus turning your 90 and then arm barring on extension. So, you know, again, there's a lot of good players that arm bar. They just arm bar a little bit later in the swing. Not many players arm bar at load and then continue that through to their extension. So I'm going to show you what I see on video here, and I want you to study that and bounce that off as many people as you can, and go from there and see where you stand and where you want to go. So again, I would like to see the elimination of the arm barring and more turning the triangle. So let's give that some thought. Number 3, experimenting with your right elbow up at load. I don't know if you've already visited that, studied that, or you've just kind of always been where you're at. Again, I'm not saying elite hitters can't start with their elbow down. A lot of people in the baseball industry, and we're talking good people from, you know, D1 colleges. I'm sure there's certain major league people that prefer that method. So again, your exact position can't, you know, the way you do it's not going to eliminate you from being an elite hitter someday if you work hard at all this stuff. I just am a big believer in loading the 90 with that elbow up. It, to me, has a lot of benefits in the swing, but we'll visit that on video and look at some differences, and you can kind of formulate your own opinion on that. And lastly, I'm going to show you your leg kick, and I'm going to show you some comparisons, and you can draw your own conclusions there. I don't have any major problems with your leg kick. I just want you to know all the options out there, and like I tell anybody I come in contact and try to help hitting, you know, how do you know what's best for you until you've tried everything? So again, I don't know what you've tried and where you've been on the topic of leg kicks, but I'm going to show you some things and some differences and stuff that you can wrap your brain around with and get together with your team and figure a direction out on that. So for the most part, that's kind of what I'm going to concentrate on your lesson here with our limited swings that we've got. So let's get into it. So we're going to start with your lower half in the swing, your leg kick, and how everything works on your bottom half in the swing. Before I jump into it, I want you to go to YouTube, and in the search bar, I want you to type in the hover drill, comma, Matt Antonelli, just like you see it written out there, and watch that short video, and then come on back so we can be on the same page about some of this stuff. Okay, so let's get started here. Let's watch your leg kick. So you are one of our players. We have, oh, I don't know now, about 5 or 6. I can't remember the exact total. But you like to start with your left leg open or behind you. You pick it up and then you go to the ball. Like I told you guys, I think the first time we talked about this, I'm not particularly against this. The one thing that youth baseball players will do from time to time that has made me not a fan of it, at least for youth baseball players. The major league players and elite hitters have been doing it longer. They're more consistent with it. But when you bring your leg forward, some youth players continue to keep it coming too far forward and set it down too close to the plate. As I told you and your dad earlier after watching a lot of your video, I think you're pretty consistent with it. So again, I only bring this up so that you're aware of it. You know, that's the biggest thing in our swings, is just being aware of where we're at and what we're doing. In this particular swing here, you look as though you're aimed out to the right of the pitcher by a little bit. Not highly significant, but you know, just keep an eye on yourself. If you're overstepping that, sometimes that's going to create problems or inconsistency in your contact in your swing. But in and of itself, the starting open and coming back, you know, I get it. I understand it. A lot of people say it helps their vision. You know, so if there's a perceived benefit, it's a benefit, you know, so as long as the position of the foot's not messing your swing up. So that's just a side note. Okay, so just to compare and contrast, I've got Mitch Henniger mocked up next to you here, and let's take a look at his leg kick. So he goes from being in a position with both feet down. He's pretty close to 50-50 equal opposites. I'll show you what that means in a minute. But his first move is, and you watch his knee, his first move is back and up. He takes his knee all the way to his belt buckle, rearward and up, okay? Back and up. So back and up. So if you've watched that video, here he is in his, what I would call his hover mode. Okay, so he's gathered his energy towards the center of his body, and one of the benefit, there's a couple different benefits to this, of course, but as far as timing the baseball, if he were to get ahead of himself or ahead of the pitch and he needed to stall because it was an off-speed pitch or something of that nature, he's now in a mode where he can hover. He didn't just, start rearward and then go forward. He came up and gathered his mass at the center of himself, and he can just hold that knee there and fall. And these are split seconds, but if he had to just fall forward here 3 or 4 inches to wait for the pitch so he could stay loaded, that's the benefit of hovering, okay? So keep that in mind there. So let's take a look at your initial move. Okay, so here's Mitch. So he goes from back and up to out and down. Out and down. Okay, out and down. Then his foot touches right there. So from here to here, just so you can see what that looks like. So you can see when he goes, after he's come back and up, now he's going to go down and out, and his body's going to move this much downward from the first line down to the second line, okay? And the benefit to that movement, if you've heard hitting coaches say you want to attack the ball downward or things of that nature, this is kind of what they're talking about. You're coming down at the ball, okay? But here's where that movement is important. So one of the important goals in a proper leg kick and use of your entire legs in the swing is to gather and generate power towards the ball, okay, and get your upper half moving the best it can. So in concept, when you come up and back, your torso, your whole body's in a higher position. As you come downward, you're taking your force and you're putting it into the ground at your left foot, and you want to redistribute that energy towards the pitch, towards the ball, towards the pitcher, okay? So the reason these hitters are getting up and then coming down through their leg kick is to do just that, okay? Now when they hit the ground, they've got all that extra force to help them turn and twist and torque to get the upper body moving properly and put a good swing on the ball with as much bat speed as they can, okay? So that's the whole goal of a leg kick. That and the timing mechanism that we already discussed. So that is how Mitch does it. He's up, he tacks it down, he brings his foot down, and so let's look at Justin Turner's just to give you another idea of what another elite major league hitter is doing. I don't have his video going from down to up, but you can see that he gets it near his belt buckle there. And he simply goes down and out, drives his momentum into the ground, and then twists and torques, and with his right leg pushes everything towards the pitch, towards the pitcher, redistributes his energy outward. Okay. I'll roll both of you guys so you can just drink in what each of you are doing. Again, he is driving his energy into the ground at the left foot. Driving into the ground, redistributing the energy to the pitcher. And we can see that Justin has roughly 16 degrees between his right shin and the ground on his angle, just for contrast there. And just for theory here, the angle of the right shin to the ground, if this green box in front of you was a refrigerator and you had to push this refrigerator towards the pitcher, are you going to push it up here? Are you going to push it in the middle? Or are you going to lower your angle and you're going to push it near the bottom? Okay, so that has everything to do with this angle right here. Okay, so if your angle is at 38 degrees, okay, that's pointing you right up here. If your degrees are at 16 with that angle, you're pushing lower on the refrigerator. Okay, so you're getting more push to redistribute your weight that's coming down towards the pitch. Okay, so for all the players that start with their left leg open and behind them, I always show them this view here. You can clearly see that the pitcher has not released the ball yet, and Nelson's got the left toe down, so he's already moved from behind him forward to where his feet are now aimed at the pitcher. Again, the major flaw for most youth hitters, but you do this pretty consistently and pretty well, but sometimes they'll put the toe down there, sometimes they'll put it down there, and any inconsistency in your mechanics is going to create inconsistency in your contact rate and you know how you hit the ball. So I just want you to be very aware of that point, and I would venture to guess that most of the players that start open like this, you know, I haven't studied it that thoroughly on all the hitters that start back there, but for most of them it's more of a timing mechanism than anything. So you can clearly see here that the pitcher has not yet released the ball and his foot's already down. So he's not just, you know, he's not just starting back here with his foot open and then taking the knee where it needs to go. He's simply moving the foot here before the pitch is released and then managing his leg or his bottom half from there. So Nelson Cruz really doesn't have a leg kick. He just moves that pre-pitch release for timing. Okay. You know, he might get a better feel of being more open to the pitch with his eyes, and again, a perceived benefit is a benefit. So, but these are just some things to keep in mind here on his swing. If you start back here and then just go straight up with the knee and begin your leg kick and then come down, again, youth hitters can get in trouble with where they set their foot down. And more than that, if their knee is twisting rotationally instead of just up, like you see Mitch Haniger, that can make them rotational as well. So anyway, I just wanted you to see that right there. So let's take a look at Nelson doing this from the beginning now. So he's got it behind him. He's down before the pitcher releases the ball. And then he clobbers the ball. So I wouldn't say Nelson has a leg kick. That move is just a pre-release timing mechanism, like I said. But I just wanted everybody to understand at least what Nelson's doing in this situation. So all the players on our team that use the beginning stance of the left foot behind them, I think most of them go into the leg kick from there and then come down. Okay. Okay, so again, just some food for thought on the difference. Okay, after watching the video there, I realized I was off with my recording just a little bit, so I'm going to show you, clarify on you, just so you can see it here. I believe I short-circuited this first move here to show you this. So there is your initial movement of your knee, kind of just going straight up. Okay. And there you are at toe touch. Okay, so there's your down and out right there. Just so you can compare it with those other hitters. Okay. And there's the angle of your right shin as you're pushing the refrigerator and redistributing your weight towards the pitch. You can see that if we had that refrigerator back up there again, you would be aimed at the middle of the refrigerator with your push from your right rear leg. Okay, so again, I misrecorded those and wanted to give you some clarity on that. So that's what that stuff looks. They were in the teens, high teens, in that area in the degrees of that triangle, I believe. Okay. So this is going to conclude the study of your lower half in the swing. Let's move on to your load. So right about here, I would say you're fully loaded. This is right before you trigger and begin to move. So looking at your bat wrap, which is directly correlated to your early bat speed and your leg position in your swing and how you leg the bat through your swing. I would say that you're in a pretty darn good position here. I didn't bring up hands and wrists and everything in your swing. I think you've got pretty loose hands and wrists. We didn't talk about pine tar, but I would like all the players to experiment with grip aids, whether it's traditional pine tar or the tacky, waxy substance kind of grip aids that are traditionally less messy than pine tar. But during my playing days, I couldn't get enough pine tar. When you have loose hands and you're pulling the bat correctly through the swing, it just helps and aids with that. So I would definitely recommend experimenting with grip aids as well. But getting back to your load, I like your position there. As you can see, you bring the right shoulder and elbow behind you, which is awesome. There's two really important things about a load, and that is getting your hands and arms and elbows and body in a position where initiating the swing or doing the snap drill gets you into a position where you can now do that correctly. Again, I like your position here, and I like the stretch that you have in the rubber band between your right shoulder and your left hip. So you do very well there. You can see that if we were looking at this from the point of view of the pitcher down the line, you can see that you're closed off, meaning your right rear shoulder is further behind your front shoulder. Okay, so I really like the way you do all this and you get into your load. As I mentioned on your action plan, the only thing, if you haven't already, that I would like to see you experiment with is getting this right shoulder, maybe not that high, but in line with your right elbow, in line with your right shoulder, lifting that elbow up. So when you're pulling the bow back to load, it's led with your right elbow. I'm a big fan of that. Again, I don't know if you've tried it and it's not comfortable or it doesn't work, or if you haven't tried it yet, but it just gives you a little bit more momentum when you do drop the right elbow into its proper slot and path. Okay. So again, I would, highly recommend experimenting with that and going from there. But as is, you've got a pretty darn good load. You get to a pretty darn good position. Nothing to shake a stick at, that's for sure. I am going to bring the lower half back into this at the load position. You can see that you have just a little bit outward flexation in that right knee. You kind of, if anything, want to be flexed inward or at least even. Okay. You can see we have Albert Pujols mocked up next to you. This is his ready and loaded position. Again, ready is before the pitcher's made a move towards you or backwards to come towards you. So you go from ready to load is the sequence there. But you can see Albert is ready and loaded. And his initial movement's just to rotate and get everything going. So I'm a firm supporter of having that leg not flexed outward. Okay, and again, it has all to do with the amount of push that you're going to get here. Okay. You can see here how Ronnie loads. He's kind of like you. He's got those elbows on the same plane more or less. But when he loads, he's going to bring that right there. He's going to bring that right elbow up and back. It's even with his shoulder now. His right elbow and shoulder are parallel to the ground. Okay. And he's pulling the bow back, led by the elbow. Okay. And I'm just a big fan of having the left elbow below the right elbow. It's a more aggressive position. Okay, again, our leg kick's going to take us into the ground and redistribute our power out to the pitcher. So other body alignments that you can have that support that. I just, I prefer it personally in my own swing. I prefer to teach it this way, but it's not a death nail. It's not going to keep you from being an elite hitter. It's something I want you to visit and think about and run past your team and see what comes out the other side. But it gives you more aggressive rake towards the pitcher. It also supports the shoulder angle, right shoulder above the left shoulder. Okay, again, all aggressively raked towards the pitcher. It looks like you do have a little bit downward angle with your two shoulders. They look fairly even and parallel to the ground in their height. Not sure where to exactly draw that line. I could be off a hair, but I would investigate getting it closer to that angle or closer to Ronnie's angle there, just to see what kind of feel and whatnot that has in your swing. So just an idea. So for contrast, here's a picture of Sawyer loading his 90. He keeps the relationship of the hands and elbows in the 90 as is, and he turns back the bow and arrow with his right elbow. Okay. Okay, so those are just different ways of doing it. I would get together with your team and, you might be doing what you're doing because you've already studied this and that's where you came out. That's what was most comfortable, most effective. I don't know. You know, I'd like to talk to you about all this and go over it with you and your dad. This might be stuff you've already worked on, and that's why you're here, is because that is what works best for you. And if that's the case, that's totally fine. I'm all for it. You know, again, there are elite major league players that load like that, so not a huge deal. I just wanted you to see the contrast of other styles. Okay. So that's about all I have to say on your load. You know, you kind of want to load. Most elite hitters, when they're fully loaded and right before they snap, their hands are right behind their armpit rearward. So it looks, you know, that's pretty darn close to where you're at. Again, getting the elbow up might change your bat wrap position and give you better leg and more bat speed and early bat speed when you start the snap drill. That's kind of what I'm thinking in my head. I, you know, wouldn't know until we tried it in the cage and saw what the results were. But, you know, again, I've already explained everything in detail here. It's, again, you're not doing anything that's keeping you from being a good hitter. So I just want you to understand the contrast, and quite frankly, I would not only just talk to other people. At the beginning of the year, I asked all the players to watch 5 players a week from the MLB's 2018 best batting average list, go from the top down, 5 a week. I don't know how far you progressed on that, but the reason I wanted everybody to begin at the beginning of September watching hitters, elite hitters, and the best of the elite hitters, is so when we get into these study situations, you have the knowledge of what other people are doing. So if you haven't done that, I would suggest getting back on track and doing that. And now you have some things that you know you can watch for and what they do, and you'll have some more familiarity. So when you study them, you can put that in your memory bank. So anyway, that's gonna pretty much cover your load. Let's get in. Okay, so let's look at your trigger. I call the trigger your launch. That's when you start moving your hands and moving the bat rearward, and you initiate all of those components in attacking the baseball. Okay, so this right here is what you look like. So the good thing, the first good thing I see in that movement is when your bat, you know, you're getting bat leg right there, but your bat, its initial movement is rearward to the catcher. You're not going out behind you. You're not moving it forward. You can see for the most part, it's going rearward to the catcher. Okay? So that is a good thing. But here is where I believe, if somebody were to ask me my honest opinion, what's the one thing that we can do that's going to most improve Logan's swing? I would answer we're going to change his arm bar. And you can see when you initiate your movement, you further arm bar to where that arm is practically straight, like so. And you're kind of just riding that thing downward. Okay? And that's why, if you look at your bat, that's why you do have a good vertical swing. Okay, you're not at that point becoming rotational horizontally, so to speak. You're not pushing your hands and bat out and away from you. Okay, you are maintaining the vertical plane, but where that is, I believe, hindering your swing is in the pull phase of your swing. Okay, what we want to do is lay that bat down without going so far downward by maintaining our triangle. We just want to turn the triangle and maintain the 90 and then get into a situation where probably right about in here after the bat starts to whip downward. At this point in time, we want to get into a pull situation up in here, okay, where your left elbow would be more up here, okay? So that's going to allow you to take a more direct path to the ball, okay? Just like the rotational swingers that arm bar and cast their hands and their bat gets sent outward away from them, you're having the same effect, yet it's downward. So by you going so far down arm barred, now if a pitch is up here, that means you're going to have to whip the bat through here much faster to get to that pitch. And you do come down so low that even on a lower pitch in here, you struggle with contact, okay? So if we look at this pitch here, you pop it straight up because you don't have flush contact because you've come down so far. Whereas if you weren't arm barred and you start your direct path with your hands to the ball a little bit further back, you're going to be able to keep bat leg and take your hands straight to the ball and be on path with that, okay? So I believe this is a critical thing in your swing. It's going to create inconsistency in contact. Again, you're going to have a sweet spot. You're probably going to hit lower pitches better and middle low pitches better. You're probably going to clobber those. But you're going to struggle with the inside stuff for sure. And I'm not exactly sure. I haven't seen too many outside pitches and how you attack them, but I can tell you it's highly affecting your consistency of contact on certain pitches. And again, our goal is to build swings without holes in them. We want everybody to be proficient at rolling to the ball directly. Okay, so again, if you look at it, you're arm barring, you're relatively flat on your front side here. And if we roll that to contact, you have moved the elbow up a little bit higher. Okay, but it's not, that arm bar just keeps it all from being where you really want it at that time in the swing. Okay. So let's bring our buddy Aaron Judge in here and let's see how he's doing it. So you can see his loaded position is here. He's pointed back, way back. Okay. You can see that there is his right elbow. It's not quite up to maybe where it's parallel to the ground with his right elbow and right shoulder, but he is close, and I think he's already begun his descent with that, so I do believe he starts up parallel. But you can see his right elbow is higher than his left elbow, okay? But you can see he's supremely loaded so that when he snaps, he's got early bat speed. And this is my exact point here. If you watch his hands as he turns the corner, and turning the corner, just so we're on the same page, turning the corner is, you can see the hands come around. This is kind of the corner in theory, coming around the shoulder. They call that coming around the corner. But my point of bringing this up is when he comes around the corner, now it's a straight pull directly to the ball, okay? Instead of continuing these hands downward and arm barring and that affecting how much he has to turn to make contact, okay? You want to be direct to the ball with your hands. And I highly recommend watching other people's lessons because I get into this in more depth, the drills that you can do. But, once we get this tweaked, you get together with your guys and we'll all get together and see if this is something that we want to fix. But I highly recommend, working on that arm barring and turning the triangle, and then we can get into those drills later. First things first kind of a thing. But if you watch, once he gets to this line, he stays on it until his elbow pulls him off it and he comes to his power V extension. So the laser drill, I would just like to take a minute to explain that to you if you haven't heard that concept. It's more of a concept than something you practice. You can't really practice, but you can swing and focus on it, and that's what I recommend everybody does. But if you had a laser attached to the knob of your bat that went the length of the bat, but you pretend that laser is coming off the bat, you want the laser to dissect the baseball in half, okay? But you can see here as he pulls, there's more of a direct path with the hands. Again, I learned this from watching Chipper Jones when I was a lot younger, and he said that you want the hands to follow the inside line of the batter's box. You want your hands to go from back to forward in a straight parallel manner and follow that line. That's why I, in practice, have put tape down there so everybody can be aware of where their hands are and what they're doing. Okay? But the fact that you're arm barring and dropping the ball down is keeping you from doing this right there. Okay? And this is also why I highly believe in pine tar. As you can see, this is a whole different feel that you don't have. So when you get to the point where you're doing the pull correctly, you can see why with a loose grip and the way you're swinging it there, pine tar might help somebody's swing, or at least, some sort of grip aid so that you're not killing the bat and just over gripping the bat with your hands. So, but that's the big difference, my friend, in the two swings is your arm barring. That's throwing your bat down way too low. That's what led me in the beginning to say, you do have a very nice vertical swing, but it becomes too vertical almost in the sense that it's going downward, and then you have to come up to find the ball and be on plane with the ball, which makes it difficult. in consistency of contact on certain pitches in the zone. So there is some food for thought for you. So if we look at Aaron, what allows him to do this is turning the triangle and maintaining the 90. You can clearly see that as he begins, or he's a portion away through his pulling phase, okay, the sound file corrupted at the end of that last one. That's why it sounded like I stopped talking or was talking off key there. But anyway, the point here that I was just trying to make with these lines right here is, and Aaron's is off, but if you look at and were to draw a line from your left ankle to your right shoulder, and on Aaron Judge as well, you can see that his line is laid back more. And the thing that I'm sharing with all the players is in the swing, you want to pull this shoulder back so far and so hard that you get the sensation that you're falling off a cliff behind you. You're falling down backwards behind you. And what that does is it helps your power V and your extension, okay? The harder you pull back here, the more extension you're going to get on your bat and whip before or during contact as well. So, you're a little bit more vertical than, optimum, but you're not bad. You don't stop that shoulder early. Um, so, so anyway, that's a point I was trying to make. And then the other point on Aaron is the thing that allows him to pull the hand straight is, of course, maintaining the 90, which at this point in the swing, you can see that his left elbow is almost parallel to the ground with his left shoulder. So, and as he continues further, it does become that way. So those were the things that were missing in the sound file there as it got corrupted. But anyway, I'm going to bring up a couple of videos here real quick of some things that I want you to start introducing to your practice. I would really like you to focus and, figure out a direction on that arm barring. Again, I'm more than happy to dig in and help you with that, but I want you to run it by your team, your advisors, anybody you can, get some ideas. And if we're, if the consensus is we're going to work on that, then let's go to work on that. That's what I would call your highest priority item to work on. But I'm going to post some videos that I do want you to introduce to your practice routine after you deal with that. The first one is what I call the 10-toe trigger drill. What this drill is doing is making sure you have proper tension at load to snap with the most effort and send the bat rearward as fast as possible to gain your maximum early bat speed and overall bat speed. But it also helps create the tension between the left hip and the right shoulder. It just gives you extra stretch, being your leg is now further out. It helps you feel that so that you become aware of it, and it becomes natural in your swing to gather as much tension as you can between the left hip and the right shoulder. So it helps slot your bat. It helps with the snap drill. It really is the snap drill to a degree, but with the added twist of that left hip being further away from your initial swing point. So, you know, there's Manny. This is Manny Ramirez practicing this drill. You want to start by practicing this drill, hitting it up the middle, okay? So you just want to simply come back, snap, hit the ball up the middle, okay? So that's something that I would introduce to your home practice routine or in the Diamond Sports cages when it doesn't interfere with certain subject matter that we're working on at a particular time. But that's something that Manny Ramirez and a lot of elite hitters do regularly, not just off-season workout, but, you know, on-season workout. So there's one thing that I want you to peek at. And then this is J.D. Martinez. I believe he hit around 340, 343 this year, and he had 130 RBIs and I believe 43 bombs, somewhere in that range. You know, he almost got the MVP, but it went to his teammate Mookie Betts. But there's two important things here. He's doing a drill where he does not move his feet. He does not leg kick. What this does is, again, it teaches you how to get proper tension and coil and swing path in your upper half without letting your bottom half mess it up. It just isolates the upper half, and you know it's going to benefit him in a number of ways. But time to impact, if you know what time to impact is, again, we haven't covered it yet in our practices. You know, we're still in the phase where we're getting all our swings corrected, but time to impact is a huge thing in the baseball swing to practice and be aware of. So again, there's numerous benefits, but a lot of elite hitters practice this. So I would add also this to your practice routine. And the second point about this video is you can see right here with his iPad or whatever that is, JD is filming himself. JD films himself daily, whether it's in the batting cage with live BP, whether it's off a tee, whether it's soft toss, whether it's a dry swing. He films himself daily and reviews his swings at the end of the day, trying to catch things that he might be regressing on or things that he can change or improve on. So, you know, I don't want anybody to take any of this instruction the wrong way. The best, what this shows us is that the best of the best are monitoring and self-diagnosing and self-evaluating and taking a daily inventory of their swing mechanics. Again, you know, I'll be the first to tell you, and I'm sure a lot of you know, swing coaches at the major league level will tell you this. In fact, I've heard the swing instructor for the Boston Red Sox, I don't know if he's currently there, it was a few years old, but I saw him on video discuss the fact that swing mechanics aren't everything in the swing. You know, you still have to have timing, you still have to have knowledge of what the pitcher's doing and what you're going to do to combat it and to time the pitch out correctly. A lot of it, is kind of a dance with the pitcher, and it's a feel, and you have to, get in proper sequence with all your movements within your swing. I mean, there's a lot to a swing, and so I don't want to overdo the whole mechanical side of this stuff, but if you're taking an unmechanically sound swing into the cages and into a game, you can see where the detriment is to that. So I highly believe in getting your swing mechanics to the point where it's giving you your best swing, and then you can work on the other stuff. But, again, here's what he's doing. He's taking a daily look at what he's doing. So just keep that in mind. So this is, again, the end of your lesson here. You know, I'm willing to sit down with you, help you. We can do some one-on-one stuff if you want to run this stuff by your team. Again, your dad's got some great resources, and run it by them, come up with that action plan, and however I can help from here, buddy, you just let me know, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to put all this together and post it to the website for you.